Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Victory Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Man, this is going to be another 2 hours of Tampa Bay sports-centric sports talk with my man Nick Edis from On3 Sports, and we need 5 hours. We need 5 hours to go over Bucs, NFL, college football, Bolts, Rays, my Lord, Juan Soto, Jiminy Christmas. It's just there's a lot going on. Good morning to you from our beautiful South Tampa studio here.
Good morning.
Chiefs Law Group studio.
Good morning. Beautiful day in Tampa Bay. We've had some beautiful banner days here.
God.
And it looked like a beautiful one at Raymond James Stadium yesterday too.
Perfect day for
I
football.
saw you said you probably would have been you should have been on the sideline maybe yesterday. I don't know the rules if you can watch the game there as media. I know in college you can. I guess in the NFL you can't.
No, very tight security.
Very tight. So the Bucs win yesterday. The Lightning get a win. We're all happy here in Tampa Bay. And then there's two fan bases that are very upset today. And there's probably some overlap between these two fan bases. And that's the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I'm having a great day.
They're all whining. They're all whining.
They're all whining, and they can save me with their tears. We'll get to them later. But we're doing personally okay here in Tampa.
There's no hard feelings here for the Alabama fans that got snubbed.
Yeah, no hard feelings.
Take it.
Yeah, the Yankees lose. The Yankees.
I'm shocked it happened, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm shocked. I think they did that just to screw FSU again, but
yeah,
because last year it didn't matter if you were conference champ. Last year it didn't matter if you won the games, but this year it matters.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
And don't forget, the Rays stole the Yankees' thunder, and they actually made the real splash acquisition of the week in the AL East. So let's also be mindful of that.
That's a splash acquisition. I mean, are you talking about the catcher?
Yes.
Having a real catcher, that matters.
A legit catcher, yes.
A legit catcher actually matters. Yes, I was shocked that they actually went out and did that. They had to.
Yes.
But, well, I guess they didn't have to, but they did, and that's good. And by the way, they're not going to Omaha. That's the latest silly plant story by the Rays to make you think that they have options outside of this. They're not going to Omaha. If you saw that story in the Wall Street Journal that has no quotes from the Rays, no quotes from anyone in Omaha, no quotes from anybody in MLB, it's an unnamed source in the Wall Street Journal. Where did Stu used to work? Wall Street? Yeah. That in my opinion, that's a planted story to scare commissioners or fans into thinking that they're moving to Omaha. Like they would go play there for a couple of years and then come back to Tampa Bay and they would have any fans left. That's I would say, in my opinion, that's another silly planted story. So everyone can go crazy. Oh, the Rays are leaving. They're not going anywhere. But anyway, I digress. Jeff Stutler is up early in the comments to remind us that the Mets are paying more for one human being than the Rays want to put down for a stadium. $856 million. Is that the final total?
No, it's like 765.
765.
Largest contract in sports history.
But it can go up to 800 million.
Correct.
Yeah, because it needs to.
Yeah,
because 765 is not enough.
Just not enough.
Just in case, yeah. For a middling defensive player that's pretty good offensively.
Pretty good is putting it mildly.
It's a good offensive player, yeah, absolutely. But the fact that he's spending more on one player than the Rays do annually on all of their players is
I'm sure Stu's
stunning.
I'm sure Stu's thrilled. He's a Mets fan, right?
He's a Mets fan. At least one of the owners spends money for one of his teams. You know, not the one he owns.
You're rubbing off on me now. I'm taking Stu shots here.
Yeah, you should, as you should, absolutely.
Let's get to the Bucs. Let's get back to the Bucs, please.
Yeah. By the way, quick setup of the show. JC Allen's going to join us. Covers the Bucs obviously for Sports Illustrated. We'll have him at 10:30. We sat next to each other watching the game yesterday. We could have left in the second and third quarters and come back, but so he'll join us at 10:30. And John Smoltz, the Hall of Famer, will join us at 11 o'clock. Well, it's not baseball season, JP. Why are we doing this? Because I'm in the midst of a fantasy football throwdown with him for the division title once again. And this man has beaten me by miracles, pulling horseshoes out of his behind the last 5 times. And so yesterday, he had George Pickens, who didn't even play. And I had a 99% chance of winning this game, like the entire through probably about 5 o'clock, through the 4 o'clock games. And now I'm behind by 12 points because Zach Charbonnet went off for 40 points.
So who do you have? Do you have anybody tonight?
Yeah, I have one person left.
Who is it?
Jamar Chase.
Oh, you're sitting pretty. Jamar Chase
yes, I am.
Against the Cowboys?
Against the Cowboys, yes. I'm sitting pretty. I will lose. Trust me. He will have a hammy in the first quarter. And Smoltz will have something to do with it. I guarantee you. He beat me once with a kicker who made 3 50-yard field goals. And that's all he had left. And I was up by like 40 points. His kicker scored like 47, some ridiculous number. It doesn't matter. I'm going to lose. I want to put that out in the ether, and then maybe I might win. So, yeah, who would you rather have? A 12.5-point lead or Jamar Chase going tonight against the Cowboys?
I think the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor.
They are. I'm a 66% favorite, but then again, I was a 99% favorite yesterday.
That's true.
So we'll see where this goes.
Those damn hypotheticals, man, they get you.
Yeah. Yes, I had also ridiculous Nico Collins and Terry McLaurin on bye weeks, and Jaden Daniels all on bye weeks
in week 14.
In week 14.
We need to get rid of the week 14 bye.
Like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don't you know betting in fantasy football runs this league?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is true. So yeah, I had Saquon and Pollard going yesterday, and Baker, and I had to get a waivered receiver, so I got Elijah Moore, and then I only had 4.5. K. Dotton got me 8.5. Had to pick up a waiver kicker and a waiver defense that actually did pretty well for me with the Saints and Daniel Carlson. So thanks for the short field goals yesterday. Thanks Antonio Pierce for not going for it on 4th down when you should have. You're 2-10. I'm like, he's really kicking a field goal here? Okay. Trot that Daniel Carlson out there for a 25-yarder. Woo, woo. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's so weird how we look at games from a fantasy football perspective, right? And it's ridiculous. All right. So let's get to the Bucs. Here we are again after 3 weeks of playing the absolute dregs of the football world. Although the Panthers have shown some life, no question about it.
Yeah, Carolina should have won yesterday against Philly.
So yeah, beating Carolina last week and pulling that out of your rectum was quite a feat for the Bucs. But I like you're probably going to be shocked by my take on this. I like the fact that this Bucs team is winning these gritty games. Like, these teams are not great teams. The Raiders are not great, but the Bucs are so banged up. They are missing so many key players, and you build your offense and your defense around certain players and their abilities. Part of this offense, a great part of this offense was built around Chris Godwin and lately Bucky Irving. Mm-hmm. And the second and third quarter, you had neither one of those guys. And I think that's why they went into a lull offensively. They've been living off the explosive plays of Bucky Irving for quite some time now. And for Liam Cohen, it was, just if I call his number enough, he's going to pop one. And that's what's happened, and that's what saved their ass the last few weeks, to be honest. He didn't have that, and he didn't have Godwin. You notice how much Baker was holding the football? Mm-hmm. You go back to the early part of the season when they're beating Philadelphia, and they're beating Washington, and they're beating the Lions. And even though, the Lions game wasn't about the offense, they had certain players that did certain things defensively. It was Servassier Dennis. They did certain things that allowed them to be the best that they can be. Right now, they're missing all those key pieces. So as a defensive play caller, you look out there, you have no Antoine Winfield Jr. You have nobody in the middle, in your middle linebacker spots. You have Levante David, but the other spot is now Vi Jones or Antonio Greer. You've got a lot of back on offensively. As I said, no Godwin, no Bucky Irving. You've got to rely on other guys to do things. And I think, Baker's still trying to find his way with an alternate receiver. Obviously, the Raiders were going to take away Mike Evans. They bracketed him most of the game, so their other guys had to step up, and Jalen McMillan finally did. And just when you can find ways to win in these situations, I think that says something about your football team. It says that your role players are pretty damn good. You've got some decent depth on your team, which I wasn't quite sure they had. And because, listen, you can say the Raiders are awful and the Panthers are awful and the Giants are awful. And listen, they're not great football teams, but they all have something to play for, and that's their jobs. for their coaches and their players. And they're NFL teams. Teams lose these games every freaking week in the NFL. Every week it happens. But the Bucs have found a way to win 3 in a row. And I think that says something about their championship mentality. Now, look, if they can't get Antoine Winfield back and Bucky can't get back to being his explosive self, they got no shot to do anything in the playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they do. They may not even get in the playoffs if these injuries continue to hamper this football team. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is you're 7-6. And what matters is the Falcons are falconing, and they suck. Kirk Cousins, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions in his last 3 games?
4 games.
4 games. I mean, and there's no guarantee that the Falcons are going to win another game, even though they've got some easy ones. They got to go to the Raiders next week. And I think the Raiders have played, they played the Bucs tough. They played the Chiefs tough. Antonio Pierce and that whole group is ready to, they're all on the hot seat. The players, I think, are pissed off. That's a game they can win. And it's a game that the Falcons could easily lose. So this division title is still very much, I think, the Bucs to lose. And they got to win 3 out of their last 4 to do it. They got to go to the Chargers. Then they got to go to the Cowboys. And that's not going to be a gimme, especially during Christmas week. And then you've got the Panthers and the Saints at home. And none of those games are gimmies. None of them are gimmies. And so to rip off 6 of 7, which is what they're going to have to do, with a team that's this banged up, I don't think the chances are that good. So every win you get is great. Now you may be able to go 2-2 down the stretch and still win the division as bad as the Falcons are playing. That might be the way you get in, to be quite honest. I still think it's a tough row to hoe to win 3 of these last 4 because of how inconsistent you're playing. Baker Mayfield did not play well yesterday. What I love about Bake is he doesn't care. He comes back and makes the plays to win. And that's what you got to have as a good football team. And he made some big plays down the stretch. That throw to Evans across the middle was spot on, and it was ripped. And it gave him an opportunity to get some yak as well, which was key. And then Sean Tucker comes in, and who I think should have got way more than 3 carries yesterday, and rips off a 34-yarder, and then you're ready. And then Jalen McMillan, they call it great shot play, well, not a shot play, but a great call. That Liam Cohen saw the way they were playing that screen, and they got the ball out there, got the key block, and McMillan scores. And you score 2. You don't leave it to your defense to try and win the game. You put it away with your offense. They went for it on 4th down. They were aggressive when they had a 10-point lead. I like all of that because that's what it's going to take to win. Your offense is your better side, clearly. Your offense is your better side, and you need them to win games. So when it comes down to 4th and 1, and let's give Bowles credit again, that's 2 games in a row that he's gone for it on 4th and 1, and those drives have ended up in touchdowns. That's very Dan Campbell of him. And he's got to keep doing it. I asked him about it after the game, and he said, look, it's 1 yard. We got to go get 1 yard in that situation. So, and I asked Tristan Wirfs about it, and he said, yeah, so we love the fact that he's given us that type of confidence, and we're being aggressive offensively. It's not just the 4th down calls, but it's also staying aggressive and throwing the ball down the field with a quarterback who's already thrown 2 picks. I think Bowles in the past would have put that offense in the deep freeze and not gone to score more touchdowns, left it to his defense and lost the game. So let's give him credit for allowing Liam Cohen to throw the ball down the field with a quarterback who wasn't playing great.
Yep.
And having confidence in Baker Mayfield to come back and make big plays at the end of the game to win the game. Because if you didn't give him that opportunity, I think you would have lost the game. So I think Bowles has kind of secretly managed these games pretty well. We've ripped them when he doesn't, so let's give him credit when he does. And I think he's given Liam Cohen a little bit more leeway to do what he does. Now, I thought Liam got a little pass happy there in the 2nd and 3rd quarters, and because the protection was breaking down, and they probably could have run the football a little bit more, but they didn't. And this was, I think, what put him in trouble. And when they got back to doing what they should be doing, they got it right. Rashad White had a great day. Rashad White, to me, you could talk about a lot of guys. J-Mac with 2 touchdowns. Rashad had 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball for 90 yards, had over 100 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns. The receiving touchdown was a a great catch, a great sidearm throw from Baker, and then he finds the end zone with 2 guys in his way. That was big. The third down, the first and goal from the 3, he rams it in and just takes any question away. And I thought Rashad played tough and hard, and he was one of the best players out there yesterday. And, of course, Tyke Smith. Tyke Smith doesn't play yesterday, and he was a game-time decision. The Bucs don't win this game. The Bucs don't win this game. He took that ball away from his college teammate, Brock Bowers, which I thought was kind of interesting. But he makes plays, and he's actually near the receiver when the ball gets thrown that way, which is nice to see because it's not always that way with the Bucs secondary. So Tyke Smith comes up with a game-changing play because if the Raiders take it in there, it's an 11-minute drive, and they take the lead. You can't have that. That was a huge play by Tyke. Merriweather played big. He stepped up in the absence of Antoine Winfield Jr. A lot of guys that are depth guys came up big yesterday, and that's what you need if you're going to do anything just to make the playoffs. You're going to have all these guys continue to step up. Yeah.
So we all know there's no easy game in the NFL. You could play a 2-win team, you play a 1-win team. There's no easy game in the NFL. Those guys are getting paid too. I know that probably ownership for the Raiders probably doesn't want to win games right now, if we're being completely honest. But Antonio Pierce is probably coaching for his job. Those players are coaching or playing for their positions and whatnot. And last week against Carolina, I came on here and I said, I don't know if the Bucs could play worse in a winning effort than what they did in Carolina. And it was kind of similar to what we saw yesterday against Las Vegas. The difference was I actually really never thought the Bucs were in jeopardy of losing that football game. I know that in the second and third quarter, the Bucs sort of self-imploded on themselves, but the difference was the Raiders sort of imploded on themselves as well.
Right.
Because remember, Baker Mayfield turns the ball over 3 times in a very quick span, I think it was on 3 or 4 possessions or something that he turned over the football. And the second interception was terrible. Was just absolutely terrible.
Oh, the one in the end zone?
The one in the end zone.
Yeah, he's tried to step into the throw. He was throwing a seam ball to Cade Otton, and Cade was open.
Yeah.
But that's a ball where you got to get some gas on it. It can't be floated. And and he makes that throw. He's got a strong enough arm to make that throw. If he steps into that throw, it's a touchdown. But as he's stepping into the throw, I think it was Cody Mauch or maybe Gedeke was getting driven back into him. Mm-hmm. Now, you could say he should have more pocket awareness to know that he can't step into that throw. But that's kind of a tough one because your eyes are downfield. You're not staring at at least you shouldn't be staring at the rush. So you've got to trust yourself or trust your lineman that they're going to hold up and you're going to be able to step into that throw. And right as he was about to release the ball, he couldn't clear his hips and it flutters and it falls into the end zone. Now, should he have taken the check down there? He was open. Yeah, he was open. You got to make that throw.
It's just sort of been this trim with Baker Mayfield, and maybe not a trim because he had the interception kind of bugaboo starting that week 6 to week 9 span.
The two picks last week were awful
during the losing streak.
Those
and
were
then
awful.
he had the pick. Then the picks kind of showed up again last week. They showed up again this week. I think he's up to 14 now.
Yeah,
this season 13 or 14, which is among the league leaders. He's almost playing at this moment it's almost Jameis-esque in a way.
Not quite Jameis-esque, but a little bit.
It hasn't gotten to that Jameis level necessarily, but it sort of reminds me of it.
You know what the difference is? He's winning games.
Yeah, he's
winning games. He's not making the critical one, the pick 6 that costs you the game.
Right.
Yeah,
but I think we would agree. Baker's current level of play, if we're talking about playoffs and winning in the playoffs, is just not good enough.
I think it's a residue of not having Godwin, number one. The other guy's not getting separation. Not having Bucky Irving, and I think he's trying to do too much.
Yeah, he tries to do too much, and you can watch his feet.
Another Jameis trait.
Yeah, you watch his feet. His feet get they always say happy feet and everything, and you could tell he gets to really antsy, and he starts to force things where you really don't have to.
Yeah.
And then even in that second quarter, the Bucs come out and they score in their first 2 drives, and that's been
and he was good.
And he was really good. He was locked in. Liam Cohen was drawing up some really nice plays. They were running the football
and then what happened?
Effectively. And then they went away from it.
Bucky went out,
but they went away from the running game completely in the second quarter up 14-0, which is just odd because they were averaging 6 yards per rush. And in that second quarter, they ran the ball 3 times. And guess what? For 18 yards, 6 yards per rush.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason, I think, to go away from the ground game whatsoever. Just continue to wear out that defense and keep the ball moving. But they didn't do that. Defensively, they were able to get a couple interceptions in this football game, or was it one?
One.
It was one.
They got
interception,
one, had two called back.
but they had two called back.
Zion's was, I think, a good catch. And Merriweather's got to have that ball. That's a gift interception, man. You cannot drop that ball.
See, at least one of those interceptions I thought should have been ruled an interception.
Zion's he had his hands underneath the ball. It did move. The ball did move, but the ball's allowed to touch the ground as long as you continue to control the ball. And I thought he did.
Yeah, but they got bailed out because of the Raiders' just incompetence, and O'Connell, until he got hurt, was not having a good football game, and it's Aiden O'Connell. You probably shouldn't expect that.
Right.
But right out of half, and this is when like momentum had kind of shifted. It was a 14-10 ball game at that point. They come right out and they just smash it down the Bucs' throat with Sincere McCormick of all people,
who's got some burst.
He's got some. Yeah, he's got some.
I like that kid.
He's got some burst to them, but he's running back 4 for the Raiders, and they come out and go on some like 15-play drive that takes up 11 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Aiden O'Connell throws an ill-advised pass to Brock Bowers, who is not open whatsoever.
No.
And Tyke Smith is able to intercept the pass. And that's when I knew, like, the Raiders just don't have it in them to really get in this football game.
Well, and also, it's Aiden O'Connell. That's going to happen. That's why you beat bad quarterbacks in this way. But also, I mean, Tyke Smith sat on the bench. He hasn't played in 6 games?
He had the last Buccaneers interception back in week 6.
Yeah.
Before he got that one.
That's not by accident. He's one of those guys that makes plays on the ball. Like he's in position to make plays where some of these other guys just, I don't understand it. But Christian Izzian played great yesterday. Merriweather played great.
I thought Levante played
played great. They did their jobs yesterday. And that's, you get the W, and you're in position.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, like, take the opponents out of the equation. Like, they are what they are. We said, like, if you have any chance of winning this division, you need to win these 3 football games. It didn't look pretty for 2 of them, but a win is a win is a win is a win. Yeah. And I said it last week. In a game where the Bucs did not play well offensively against Carolina, they still scored 26 points.
Right. In
a game yesterday for the second and third quarter, they had essentially no passing offense and no Bucky Irving. And obviously we know Chris Godwin not being in there too. And the offensive line
still burns my ass.
The offensive line had a very rare off day yesterday. They sort of were in part of that implosion where I think there was 4 pre-snap penalties on the offensive line yesterday, which has to be cleaned up. And then there were some times too where I
think Tristan had a holding call.
Phantom holding call. Though.
Yeah, on the replay, it didn't look like that was.
It was a phantom holding call. So the Bucs didn't even play their best offensively these last 2 weeks, and that still is a 26-point output and a 28-point output.
Yeah. So that shows that you're playing winning football. And again, I cannot stress enough that you're winning games that probably should not. Certainly the Panther game you shouldn't have won. But you did. You made key plays to make it happen. Yeah. And I think that's part of the championship DNA that this team still has. I mean, you still have guys on this team that have won a Lombardi trophy. And I think that makes a difference because guys like that have confidence that they can come back and win these games. You see the Chiefs do it every week. Now, I'm not saying we're to the Mahomes level. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, just watching that last night, no one manipulates the clock better. Nobody makes plays better in the crunch time. Nobody extends plays better than Patrick Mahomes. They're just elite at every level. It's like watching Brady. And they won their 9th consecutive division title. 9th consecutive division title. And the other thing that shocked me last night was the Chargers are now 12 in 1-score games.
It's been a Chargers thing for a long time.
And it's 14 in a row 1-score games that the Chiefs have won. I think both of those are among the longest streaks in the NFL. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane that you win that many 1-score games. Like this, the ball is not round. It bounces weird at times. And to be that consistent in 1-score games is just off the charts. Now, the script writers might have something to say about that. But
I mean, even like a kick like last night, and it's like I told you before the show, I was so conflicted because the kicker for the Chiefs, in case you don't know, is Matthew Wright. Matthew Wright was the kicker for UCF. He's like the best kicker UCF has ever had. He's been bouncing around the NFL, even though he's 54 for like 62 all time in the NFL, but he can't hold down like a permanent job,
that's good.
Which is crazy. But he's the third.
He doesn't
kicker.
have a big leg though, but he's good short distance.
Yeah, but he's a quality kicker. But he's the kicker last night, and so I'm like, oh, Matthew Wright, I wanted to make this field goal because my UCF guys. But at the same time, I'm just like, can the Chiefs' luck just run out? And he has just a chip shot field goal, and of course, it hits the damn upright. And I'm sure for any other team that hits the upright and it bounces right back out. But no, it has to go through. And the Chiefs escape again. And it's like bothering me. And I'm sure it bothers all football teams, but that's why the Chiefs are who they are. They just always get those breaks, and they're a damn good football team. We know they're going to be what they are in January and February. But,
that I think someone said this in a meme last night or on Twitter. It's like the Super Bowl we want is Bills Lions. The Super Bowl we're going to get is Eagles Chiefs, right?
Probably.
Right? That's what we're going to get. Yeah. Yeah. And boy, that Buffalo game last night, Buffalo Rams game last night was
wild.
Insane. So, yeah, listen, you'd rather be here where you are today than you are in Atlanta. Think about, how everybody's jumping off the Mercedes-Benz Dome today.
Raheem Morris was having to answer questions this week about Michael Penix Jr. Taking over for Kirk Cousins, which doesn't sound like the craziest of things to do at this moment because Kirk.
I certainly hope they don't. And he said he's not making a switch. Thank God.
I mean,
thank you, Raheem.
They won't because they're paying Kirk a lot of money. They're in the division title race. You probably shouldn't put a rookie in that spot. But Kirk is, man, this is the worst Kirk Cousins ever played in his career. And again, outside of playing the Bucs, he's been a genuinely awful quarterback this year in games not against the Bucs. Like the numbers are insane.
He's 36 years old, coming off an Achilles injury.
Yeah, probably should have seen it coming.
Yeah, and you went out and spent all that money instead of spending it on a pass rusher, instead of drafting a pass rusher, you went out and you could have had Justin Fields for nothing. It would have been better than Kirk Cousins. And now, it ain't over. They got to eat another $70 million on that contract. The next 2 years. So it's not just killing them this year. It's going to kill them the next 2 years. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm not saying it's Deshaun Watson level because you didn't have to give up a lot of players, but that is a critical QB miss organizationally that you just did not need to do. And if you thought Penix was your quarterback of the future, you still could have got him and went out and spent that money on something else that can help your team.
Yeah.
It's wasted money.
Yeah. The Bucs are very fortunate that the Falcons have gone on this losing streak because when they lost both those games to the Falcons, I think we all assumed that okay, well, this division title race is pretty much toast. Yeah. We saw who the Bucs were going to play. And so maybe you didn't completely bury the Bucs in the division race, but you knew that it was going to be really tough. But the Falcons doing what they've done now and having their own 4-game losing streak after they were 6-3, I believe, the Bucs are in the driver's seat now.
Yeah.
They're suddenly in the driver's seat, and I don't think the Chargers are not unbeatable.
No.
They're not unbeatable.
Get them in a one-score game.
Yeah, get
That's for damn sure.
Get them in a one-score game. We know what the Chargers can
Although
do.
the Bucs are not great in one-score games either.
No, the only concern I have with the Bucs at the moment is this whole thing in the second quarter. This has been something they've done a lot this year where they start out really fast.
They dip.
And in the second quarter, they dip, like you said. And it hasn't cost you against these teams, but it cost you. Remember against Baltimore? Same thing. What happened? A good team will take advantage of that.
Yeah, you're not going to beat the Chargers or any winning football team, playing the way they've played the last 2 weeks. They're not. I mean, that's just it. But injuries matter. Matchups matter, right? So it's a week-to-week league. Do they match up well with the Chargers? I don't want to say it right now because I really haven't studied the game. I know the Chargers have the best scoring defense in football. I think that's so. The Bucs offense, I wouldn't say is exactly clicking. So that means your defense is probably going to have to hold the Chargers to less than 20 points to win. That's not a good matchup for this Bucs team.
And the Bucs defense, I mean, we haven't even mentioned Antoine Winfield goes out with a knee injury, which it's just par for the course. The Bucs,
and Bucky went out.
Bucky goes out with another. This one was a back injury this time.
Yeah, Mike Edwards is still out.
Edwards is still out. Whitehead's out. I mean, it's just constant, and you're having to start the Kayvon Merriweathers of the world, and some of these other dudes that just, quite frankly, just aren't NFL caliber players.
Yeah. And the Bucs are going to have to make some decisions here. And again, I am not saying throw the Chargers game. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, you be smart here. You don't, when Mike Evans has a bad hamstring and he pulls it early in the game, don't put him back out there. When you're up, when you have a 99% chance of losing a game, Chris Godwin should not be on the field. If Antoine Winfield Jr. has a bad knee, but it's a strained ligament. And if you let him rest, he can probably come back 100% the next week, where he's likely to injure it more against the Chargers. I'm going to sit him.
Well, I'm glad they kept Bucky out, because I was hearing on the broadcast, like they made it sound like Bucky wanted to go in.
Yeah, and they were trying to get him. TJ told us this. He was down on the field at halftime, and they brought him out at halftime, and they were trying to loosen up his back to get him out there to play. And they finally decided no and gave Sean Tucker some run. Smart. There's times when you can just, putting down the sword is not a bad idea. Live to fight another day. So hopefully the Bucs will be smart about these injuries, because if they are going to lose a game, this is the one to lose, because it's an AFC opponent. The tiebreakers don't come into play as much. You want to win every single game, but this is the one that.
And who does Atlanta have this up week?
They go to the Raiders.
They go to the Raiders, and then they get the Giants.
Yeah, and they are at Washington though. They're at Washington week 17. Then they finish, I think, against Carolina. Yeah. So, and plucky Carolina. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, JC Allen is ready to go in the bullpen from Sports Illustrated, covering the Bucs. We'll chat with him, get his take on yesterday and where the Bucs go from here. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. This is the Jeeves Law Group studio. It's beautiful. We love it. And we will, if you have any issues, legal issues at all, give them a call. Just go to the website, contact them through the website, tell them JP sent you. They will give you a free case evaluation. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. So if you've been in an accident, your first call should be to the Jeeves Law Group. Back in 3 with JC Allen. Stay with us. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill. and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. If you have any issues with your homeowner's insurance and you just need some advice, they'll be happy to answer the phone and chat with you and give you some great customer service. Just let them shop that homeowner's insurance around, and your auto insurance, your business insurance. By the way, if you don't have business insurance and you have like a side hustle, make sure you get it. It's not very expensive, but you need it in case somebody wants to sue you, and they do that. It's Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Great folks over there. All right, let's welcome in our good friend J.C. Allen, NFL, covers the Bucs for Sports Illustrated and some other publications as well. He's got a great podcast. There you go. I like that look even better. What's up, J.C.? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing fantastic. The Bucs are doing pretty well as they pick up a big W here against the Raiders. You and I both took this in together in the press box with our snarky comments.
Yes.
It wasn't great football at times, but they got her done. What's your biggest takeaway from yesterday's win?
Yeah, I think, the defense really impressed me the most. And with all the injuries that they're dealing with, having guys that come in, losing Antoine Winfield in the middle of the game. And, props to you. You actually pointed that out before it was even announced. Down at the goal line there when the Raiders were before they scored. He said, well, Antoine Winfield just came off the field.
Jumping off the field, and I'm like, oh, no. No.
A couple minutes later, he was diagnosed with a knee injury and questionable return. So got to give you my guy credit there. But, yeah, I mean, you've got guys like Kayvon Merriweather, Vi Jones, who I thought had a really good game. He had that defensive pass interference call in the end zone. But, like, in that situation, like –
cost me $300, jerk.
It's a good DPI though, those
it is. It kept Brock Bowers from scoring a touchdown. That's what you want to do in that situation at all costs. Don't let him catch the ball because JP will win his parlay. But thank you for that. No, and I haven't checked the tape yet. I watched a little bit of it. I'll get the all 22 today. Yeah. But first glance, I think Vi did pretty well in his. I think this was his first start, right?
Yeah, first start. I think he's only had like 13 snaps on defense all season long and maybe 2 tackles. So had 4 tackles on the day. I thought, everyone stepping into those roles that they were promoted in. Izzy, and I thought had a pretty solid game at safety. There were some plays that definitely want back, but he came up with a big tackle there down inside the 10-yard line later in the game. I they were the surprise to me that they actually came out and played. Again, you take into account the offense that they played against, but it was refreshing to see the defense not be terrible. 3 interceptions, 2 of them obviously not counting the Zion one. I think was kind of baloney. They got off to the quarterback some. Levante with the sack. There was some good pressure on him all day, and then obviously the big fumble recovery by Levante as well. That was my biggest takeaway. I think the offense, it was so stagnant in the second and third quarter, but they found a way to dig their heels in and win at the end of the game. There are some things that I know the Raiders were dictating that, kind of got them away from their stuff. And we talked about Baker and his happy feet. I don't know if he's filming the third movie or anything like that, but moving around, getting him self-sacked a couple times, just kind of not going through his reads quick enough, missing some open guys. All that stuff needs to be kind of taken care of and turned around because you're not going to get this opportunity against a team like the Raiders for the rest of the season. The Cowboys, the Chargers, even the Saints and the Panthers, they'll make you pay for those mistakes that they made yesterday, and they really got to tighten things up. And that starts up front with a line who played a little sloppy, in my opinion, especially what we've been accustomed to seeing the last couple of weeks, and certainly at quarterback with Baker.
Yeezy has a question that I'm kind of interested to tackle here as well. He says Mike Evans was pissed yesterday. Any insight as to why? Because I'm thinking I was after Bowles, I went into the locker room, and normally Mike's holding court already. So I don't know if he left early.
He did.
Do you know? Did he? Yeah.
He left early. Yeah, I saw him while he was walking out. He was actually walking out while we were walking in. I'm not sure if there was It was a very favorable matchup for Mike Evans this week. Probably, one of the most favorable matchups he's going to get the rest of the season. He's got Trevon Diggs coming up in 2 weeks. That Chargers defense is very good. J.C. Horn, again, he's got to deal with. And the Saints always play him tough, no matter if Marshawn Lattimore's there or not. This was a game where I thought Mike Evans could probably go off. And, he's still got he's still got 69 yards on the day, but there are a lot more opportunities to get him the ball, get him involved, and get him closer to that number. And, I think, I'm not going to speak for Mike because, we didn't talk to him and I don't know, but I think that's something that could have triggered him a little bit there, because I do think that they need to get him involved a little bit more. And unfortunately, this team is a run-first team right now.
As it should be.
As it should be, right. But, Baker's got to be able to find Mike and connect with Mike a little bit more.
Yeah, he missed him on the sideline a couple times.
Well, they showed it on the broadcast, and I know y'all were at the game, so maybe you didn't see it, but there was they were coming out of commercial, and they were showing Mike on the sideline, and he was pretty much chewing out somebody on the field. They mentioned that he was kind of it was the Bucs defense was on the field, and he was trying to implore them to hey, let's and this was after I think the 11-minute drive where the Bucs defense, before they made the pick, it looked like the Raiders were just going to go right down the field and score. That's why I think what he was yelling at there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe frustrated from the injuries too. He's dealing with the calf injury now.
But that being said, you saw when he had the big play over the middle where we actually got to see some Mike Evans yak, which we don't get to see often. And then I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I've seen Mike Evans hurdle somebody.
I've never seen that.
Of all the things we've seen Mike do, I don't think I've ever seen him hurdle somebody, but he showed a lot of emotion after he got up after that play. So maybe it was just finally I got free today.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and check out what kind of coverages they were playing, but it looked like to me they were bracketing him most of the game. They had a safety over the top, which you would expect because who else are you going to throw the ball to? And I think if there's another good development yesterday, it's the fact that Jalen McMillan stepped up and made plays that he hasn't made before since week one, the 2 big catches for touchdowns. I thought
Sterling Shepard
made some tough catches. So other guys, they need that second and third receiver to be counted on, right?
Oh, absolutely. And Shepard stepped in. I think no one's going to replace Chris Godwin, but he's done a good job, especially in the screen game. He's been able to move the chains several times over the course of the last couple of weeks, pick up key third downs. I think he's done a really good job as someone who's out of the league pretty much before the Bucs signed him this offseason in the training camp. And Jalen needed to step up. We needed to see him step up. He looked phenomenal all offseason and then just kind of struggled as soon as games went live for the real thing. And him having that 2-touchdown game yesterday, real spark to the confidence, I believe. He caught the first ball of the game. First play of the game was a pass to McMillan. Get him involved. He had a couple other catches there too. But you need that because if not, teams are just going to do what they did yesterday and bracket Mike. But at the same time, you've got to move Mike around and get him in certain mismatches. He's played in the slot a lot more the last couple of years. Something they could have done to get him going. But having guys like Kate Otten step up, having guys like McMillan and Shepard, and also being able to use those backs out of the backfield is going to be key for them going forward, especially if they want to make a run, because you got to be able to get more guys involved. You got to be able to move the chains in different ways. And I think Liam Cohen has done a fantastic job showing that. Shepard had that one screen pass that was set up. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
You had Rashad on one side, Shep on the other side. It was just a beautiful play design because Baker literally could have picked his poison and kind of went either side. And you knew it was going for a big chunk yardage. And then obviously, the McMillan's second touchdown was just a beautiful concept.
Great execution.
Great execution by them. And you're seeing this team go to play to their strengths a little bit more with not just their wide receivers and what they do best, but also in the running game, running more gap than zone. Come in. Cohen wanted to be this mid zone, outside, inside zone, but they're running more gap because the guys up front are better at blocking it, and the runners are better at running it. So, and you're seeing it pay off. Again, this Raiders team was the 11th best against the rush. and the Bucs just totally eclipsed what they're allowing. They did it with the Ravens, who are number 1. They did it with the Chiefs, who are number 2. And getting more guys involved in the passing game is always going to open up stuff in the ground game. So it was good to see McMillan finally get going, and good to see Shep continue his ascent, since Godwin went out and he stepped into a bigger role in the offense.
And you mentioned like the Bucs, the number one thing that I think they do well at the moment is run the football, which is a crazy statement to make given the the way we've watched this team over the last, honestly, going back a decade, to be honest. But and I know yesterday, if you look at it, like 29 passes for Baker Mayfield, 26 runs. So like it was pretty much even, but we saw what happened in that second quarter. And it was just kind of perplexing to me that the Bucs, I think, were running at like 6 yards a clip in that first quarter, getting anything they wanted on the ground. And in the second quarter, up 14-0, where you think that, okay, now it's time to like continue to keep running the football. They went completely away from it and only ran it 3 times. And I think we've seen that a little bit here. Like if I had to like have one little critique about Liam Cohen, why do you think that is, that sometimes that run game just sort of disappears?
Yeah, I mean, it happened last week too. They kind of went away from it when it was working, went back to it at the end of the game, and Bucky and Rashad went all over the place. And you saw it this week too, towards the end of the game. Obviously, Tucker gets a big run. Rashad gets a couple big runs. And I was saying that to JP in the press box too. You got to get back to the run. Rashad's been doing great. Why are we not running the ball? But, part of that, I'm interested to see how much of that is Liam calling, how much of that is Baker checking into things because he doesn't like. I know they were bringing yesterday. They were bringing 5 guys a lot. They're bringing extra guys to try to get pressure, and they succeeded at that. Crosby had 7 pressures on his own. They got some really good pressure, and I think the Bucs in that second and third quarter, everyone was just stagnant. Everybody was. They really struggled to get push in the run game there. Remember, Rashad was just peeling off 1-yard runs left and right. They couldn't get anything going.
Had a couple bad penalties offensively.
Yeah, penalties. You had some, the false starts and the holding penalty that brought some back. So that's obviously takes the runs out of your playbook. And at that point, I think you're trying to, once you fall into that stagnant path, you're just kind of trying to get a big play out. And usually those big plays come to the passing game to kind of jump start your offense. But they've got to recognize that, hey, this is what we're doing well, and we got to stick with it no matter how bad it gets. And I think there's blame all the way around yesterday for that stagnatism between those 2 quarters, whether it's play calling, quarterback play, offensive line play, and skill position play. I think everybody just I don't want to say they got comfortable, jumping out, first 2 drives, first 2 touchdowns, you're up 14-0, you're feeling good. And then like, okay, I think they might have let their foot off the gas a little bit there, and complacency might have set in for a second. Like, oh, we're going to trounce these guys. And then all of a sudden, like, they'd make some adjustments and you can't get anything going after your scripted plays are done.
I like the fact that, especially in the fourth quarter, I thought they kept the foot on the gas. There were times when he didn't have to throw that ball deep over the middle to Mike Evans. He could have checked it down. But that, to me, was the key play of the game. That put the game away. It obviously Tucker's run gets him down in the scoring position. But I thought that 3rd and 6, they don't make it there. It's a totally different ball game. Not only did they make it, they make a big explosive play. Now that now they're on their heels. Now you're already in field goal range, and then you rip off the big run. So I think that there's a little bit of a killer mentality yesterday that I liked from Baker.
Yes.
As bad as he is and was in the second and third quarters, they didn't take the foot off the gas. They got those big 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter that put the ball game away and didn't rely on your defense. I mean, that's the huge thing. And I think that's what so many times Bowles has managed these games to just say, okay, field goal is good enough here, or let's just punt it away and, we'll kill some time and then punt it away. No. You got to stick the ball in the end zone to win in this league, and that's what they did. And I thought that was important.
Yeah, I think if you look at the numbers, the Bucs have been really good in the fourth quarter this season.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it doesn't obviously all those don't translate to wins. The Ravens game, the Chiefs game, even the Niners game, but they have been really successful in the fourth quarter. They don't turn the ball over much. They're getting into the end zone a lot. But, that's something that you need to have that throughout all 4 quarters, right? I want to see them run the score up. I know. Todd Bowles mentioned after the game that he wished that McMillan would have slid down there, but I think you're already at that point. You're already up, over a touchdown on this team. No, you go for the dagger.
Yes, exactly.
You go for the dagger, and to me, maybe that was an indictment on, hey, we got a really banged up defense. We don't know if we can. But at the same time, like, you go for the kill shot there, and you
go up 15 points, man.
Can't stop Desmond Ridder.
Yeah,
right, right, exactly. So
I'm not going to quibble with that. Take it to the house and worry about it later.
I thought that was great. He was asked about that, and someone was like, "Do you think you should have slid it?" This was after Bowles' press conference, and he said, "No, I'm fine with
hell
it."
No.
So it was good for him. Obviously, his birthday was yesterday. 2 tutty performance is always good. But
nice.
I think this Bucs team, they've got a big challenge ahead of them next week against the Chargers. They're on a 3-game win streak, narrowly beating the Panthers, which all of a sudden looked like a good team. I heard you call them plucky. Panthers' last 3 losses have been really good games by them.
Yeah, they have. They're good teams. If you think the Bucs are a good team.
If you think the Bucs are a good team, but certainly the Chiefs, and certainly coming
the
up
Eagles.
A drop to the Eagles there. But the Bucs have a very palatable schedule the rest of the way. The Cowboys, obviously the Saints and the Falcons. The Panthers. I heard you guys talking about it a little bit before.
Do you think they can get it done?
They've got no room for error. I think
they got room. I think they got one. I think there's no way the Falcons are going to win out. No way.
I think they've got room for one, but it can't be like, it's got to be a close type of loss. I don't think you can afford to be blown out or
there's no committee here, JC. There's no committee here. There's no style points here in the NFL. Thank God. It doesn't matter if you're blown out or not.
I don't think
loss is a loss, a win's a win.
More like for team morale, I don't think you can go into the Cowboys Sunday night game just being kind of absolutely dismantled by the Chargers. You got to play them tough. I think you've got to play them tough because they're a playoff team. And you have shown that you can beat 3 non-playoff teams in a row. Well, what can you do against a playoff team? What can you do against one of the better teams in the league? I need to see that from this Bucs team.
At this point, yeah. Early in the season, obviously, they got huge wins.
Right, but that's early in the season. I mean,
it was a different team then. Yeah, it was a much healthier team.
Chris Godwin was on that team.
Right.
This team has been
Servassier Dennis, yes.
Healthy. Right, exactly. The health is out the window at this point. And with the guys you have, what can you do against the Chargers, and what can you do? Can you stick around? Because I think that's going to be a big telling sign. But no, you're right. The Falcons, they've got some tough matchups. The Panthers are going to play them tough. They're going to want to play spoilers at the end of the season. They still have to travel to Washington, which is going to be a tough game. I think you've got room to drop one, but that's about it. I think if you're going to drop,
I think you can.
Chargers
3-1 gets you the division. Yeah,
what?
I think 3-1 gets you the division. Agree?
I think so too. But I want to see you play the Chargers tough for me to have any confidence in you going forward.
I think if I'm a betting man, with what I've seen over the last 3 weeks, I think you go 2-2. Because this team hasn't shown me that they're too inconsistent. They've played. They're just. I don't want to say anything other excuses except they're beat up. They're just destroyed.
Who's your second loss to?
Take your pick. Saints.
Really?
Saints can beat you at home. They did last year with the division on the line. The Panthers can beat you at home because they've been playing well lately. The Cowboys at home. It's supposed to be a Sunday night game.
Well,
I can't believe they haven't flexed that. Yeah,
they don't ever play well at home, though. That's the thing.
I mean, but the Cowboys, they have moments. They have moments where their talent actually shows up, and it's not like the Bucs are this impregnable team. That's what I'm saying. They're not giving me confidence that they can go out in every. You should have lost to the Panthers. Yeah, you blew out the Giants. Good job. Should have lost to the Panthers and could have lost this game, but you're not. You're winning games. So, but are you going to win every one of these games down the stretch? The odds makers would say no. You're going to be an underdog, and I haven't seen the line yet on the Chargers, but I'm guessing it's probably 4.5 to 5 as an underdog. And then these other games, you've seen it. They're the 2 divisional games, and then the Cowboys are a wild card. They're a wild card.
Division games are always tough. They're always going to play you tough. Luckily, they're at home for the Bucs against,
I'm hoping for 3-1. I think that can happen. I don't know if the Falcons may win 2 more games. I don't see them going 4-0 or 3-1. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But right now, Baker's got to start playing better, and they got to get healthy. Without Antoine Winfield Jr. down the stretch, Tyke Smith is back, but will he stay back?
Huge.
He's huge. And will Bucky be able to play down the stretch? He's got a hip, he's got a knee, and now he's got a back
and a toe.
And a toe. I mean, so there's a lot going on here,
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes with Bucky Irving.
and Baker's not playing his best football right now. So I think it's certainly not a layup. 3-1 is not a layup at all. So
because you're out Jordan Whitehead too. Now you're out Antoine Winfield Jr.
Right.
You should be getting KJ back. You should be getting Joe Tryon-Shoyinka back.
Neither one of those is a plus. Those are addition by subtraction. Do they have to come back? Really?
Getting a little bit healthier. If they continue to make a run, there's potential possibility Savasier is back by the end of the season. Before the playoffs start. So that would be a huge help.
But if they get Antoine back, if they can get Mike Edwards back, if they can get Servassier back, if Bucky can be healthy and ready and explosive, if Baker can start playing better, I think he's making 2 or 3 mistakes a game that are going to cost you against really good teams. So I think there's a lot of ifs going on here. But the best thing is, what's not an if? They're not in first place. They're in first place.
They are in first place.
So that's.
But it's not about winning these games, there, as Bull says. It's about staying there.
Right.
The DBs. It looked like the DBs. Just scrolling Instagram. It looks like the DBs had a dinner last night.
Yes.
And Winfield Jr. was there.
That's good.
If you think it was going to be like something serious, ACL, PCL, MCL, maybe he might skip that dinner. That kind of.
The rookies were paying, so he was motivated to be there.
Right, that might give me some. Rookies, Tyke Smith.
Did you hear what Tyke did? So he was the last to get the interception. So every week, the defensive backs put money into a pot for the next guy to get an interception. Yeah. So the whole time he was out, they're building up the pot, and then he comes back first game and steals the pot.
That's great.
He got all the money. That's what you guys get for being so bad.
Paid for dinner.
That's right. That's what he said. Is I'm going to need. He goes, I got to go collect now so I can pay for rookie dinner tonight.
Only other DBs on the team are undrafted guys, and they ain't making much.
No. So, hopefully Antoine gave him the check and they put their card down, and then afterwards he picked it up because
you would think so. He's
the
highest paid safety in NFL history.
Yeah, I would think he ended up paying for the bill after scaring the hell out of those guys. That's usually the way it works. So
I think the Bucs have a good shot of going 3-1 down the stretch and making some noise. What I am unsure about is there are opportunities in the playoffs there. You kind of look at who they could get matched up. You're looking at the Packers if they get the 3 seed because that's still in play with the Seahawks. Kind of holding on to it now. If they get the 4 seed, they're looking at probably the Vikings. Now both of those would come to Tampa, but
exactly.
Those look like uphill battles, and all that kind of parlays into the situation here with what do you kind of do if they don't advance in the wild card round? What do you do if they don't make it to the divisional round? What are the Glazers looking for this season? Are they looking for continued improvement? Because continued improvement would be NFC division, would be wild card, division, conference championship.
Yeah.
So with this iteration of the Bucs, I think it'd be hard pressed for them to get out of the wild card round going against a team like the Vikings or the Packers.
Well, they got to get there first. JC, great stuff, my friend. Appreciate you. Tell everybody where they can get your content.
Yeah, you guys can find me right there. JC on NFL is my X page. I got the Pirate Parlay podcast that comes out every Wednesday and Friday. We do 2 episodes a week. And then obviously Sports Illustrated Bucs Game Day. You can find all of our content over there. We're pumping out great stuff. I know there's a bunch of podcasts around. I know there's a bunch of websites around, but throw those 2 in your rotation. You won't be
absolutely
upset you did it.
Absolutely. Thank you, partner. Appreciate it, JC. Good stuff, man. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the Hall of Famer John Smoltz is going to join us. Can't wait to get his take on this Juan Soto contract. Oh, my Lord. And is it about time MLB has a salary cap or a salary floor? We'll talk about all that. And, of course, his incredible lucky-ass streak beating me in fantasy football. Will it continue? That's what we really want to talk about. John Smoltz will join us when we come back. We're brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. Folks, it's Christmas time. You got to go shopping. You're going to give your money to some of these national companies? Hell to the no. You're going to give it to the Gold and Diamond Source because they have the best selection. They have the best folks over there in terms of helping you and keeping it in your budget. And they've been around for 40 years, and they do great things in the community. So it's a no-brainer. Don't fight the mall traffic, all that stuff. Easy in, easy out, 20 minutes from downtown Tampa. It's the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, just over the bridge. Back in 3 with John Smoltz. Stay with us. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. It's the Jeeves Law Group. This is the Jeeves Law Group studio here in beautiful South Tampa. And right now, we'd like to welcome in a man who is known for being a Hall of Famer in baseball, is also a tremendous golfer, will be captaining his team in the Pro Cup at Innisbrook this week here in town, and is also the reigning champion of the MFFL fantasy football, where he has whooped my ass 5 consecutive times and is on his way to his 6th win. John Smoltz joining us here. What's up, Smoltzy? How are you?
You know, I'm listening to that intro, and I guess I'm doing really good. I'm living a life as a pretend GM. You know, I'm making moves, trying to defend, the fantasy football. Of course, you mentioned the golf coming up, but I'm really locked in on tonight's game. Tonight's going to be, it's going to be epic, and I know that you don't want to be talking about, what happened. I still think you're going to win, but this would be probably the greatest comeback in the history of fantasy football.
I'm not going to win because I never beat you. And it doesn't matter that I have Jamar Chase going tonight and he's averaging 21 points. He's the number 1 receiver in the league. And you're up by 12.5 points. You were up 14. I found 2 points overnight. Whoever did that, thank you very much. So, I mean, yes, I'm a 66-point favorite according to the website. But they have no idea of our history, John. And whether it's your kicker scoring 50 points or Zach Charbonnet scoring 40 points yesterday, it just doesn't matter. I'm going to lose. That's just the way it is. I'm trying to put this out into the ether, so maybe my luck will change.
I think it's going to change. I really do. I think this phone call is going to free you up. I think we deserve to be in the playoffs together.
We do.
You have the best roster in fantasy football. You've lost some really heartbreaking losses, which that's why tonight's going to go your way. My team, they don't have a hangover, but they know they've locked up a position, a playoff position, and that's really all we care about.
Well, listen, you've done some pretty notable things in your career. You've won a World Series. You've won a Cy Young, if not 3 or 4. You face some of the most incredibly intimidating hitters, most of the pressure-packed situations. So how does that rank as opposed to how nervous you will be watching tonight's game in fantasy football with all this on the line?
Yeah, with all of it on the line, this is obviously the utmost bragging rights. This is a fun league with a bunch of good people trying to do the same thing. And look, you got to have a little bit of luck. I thought you were, I think at one point you were a 99% favorite. I had too many buys this week and too many injuries. But somehow, some way, I'm a little disappointed. I lost 2 points. I thought I had a 14 and I'm going to have to check with the commissioners, see what happened there. But again, trending in the right direction for you.
So I'm sitting there watching, I'm covering the Bucs game yesterday, and I'm watching, and like after you had a bunch of guys going to 4 o'clock, I get that. But after, the 1 o'clock games, I have a 99% chance of winning, according to CBS Sports, 99% chance. So everybody would be, I had a 70-point lead. I'm like, I got this, right? And as soon as I get back and I'm done talking in the locker room to all the guys, an hour and a half later, you got a lead. You got a 10-point lead. I'm like, what the F just happened? How did this happen?
Well, what I love about it is I normally would not be locked in on the Seattle-Arizona game.
Right.
I'm a diehard Lions fan, but every offensive play had one of my guys, on each side. So it actually was a fun game to watch,
right,
especially when my running back broke a 51-yard touchdown run. So I have 3 TVs downstairs. I had the San Francisco-Chicago game on, which had interest. And then I knew I wasn't going to get I actually got 1 catch out of Knox, tight end but I knew I wasn't going to get anything there. So virtually I had 3 positions of no points.
Yes.
But the other 3 made up for it.
All right. Well, I'd like to say good luck tonight but that's ridiculous because you don't need it. You clearly have a horseshoe up your ass or something when it comes to playing me, so I'm not going to say good luck, but whatever. We'll see. We'll be texting tonight, if not FaceTiming while we're watching the game, and we'll watch Jamar Chase get a hamstring injury in the first quarter. All right.
No. Here's what's going to happen. I already know what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. All right. You're going to win it in the fourth quarter, but I want it to go to the fourth quarter. I don't want you to be smoking a cigar at halftime. I want a little stress going into the fourth quarter.
All right. Well, I'll have that cigar ready to light up. All right. The folks here would like you to talk about something else. And we got to hit you with this. What When you saw the Juan Soto contract, what is the first thing that came to your mind?
I couldn't stop shaking my head. I just don't. I guess I just don't understand, but I know what a great player he is. 15 years, my goodness. Baseball is a copycat league, a lot like other sports. When they start doling out, it's a 1%er, right? This 1% of the league has these 13, 10, 12, 15-year contracts. And now we have a 15-year contract. It is definitely a front-loaded, better be that player for the Mets for the next 10 years. But, good for him. I'm still shaking my head. I never thought I would see a contract quite like this. You kind of understand the Ohtani contract because of the multiple ways that he can impact the club.
Right.
You really if there's ever a way to justify. And listen, you're playing 162 games. I know other sports have less games and guys have closer to those kind of contracts, but this player is a offensive game changer. Just no doubt about it. He's going to make any club he goes on better. I just wonder about the defensive, the running, the other attributes that might maybe not quantify that kind of money. But I think the Mets and that owner, I felt like that was the only guy, even though the reported contracts, the bidding was close by other teams. I just didn't think there would be 4 teams involved. And we never know how legitimate those reports are, but this 15-year deal is certainly an epic one.
Well, when they say that the Rays are in it, that's not credible. But
no,
which they do after sometimes. But what does this do to the game, to the game of baseball in terms of, like you said, it's not a player that is a 5-tool player. He's not. He's got some really, really good tools. Does baseball need a salary cap? Does it need a salary? I think definitely needs a salary floor for fans here in Tampa Bay. But does it need a salary cap? And would the Players Union ever go for that?
I don't think the Players Union will ever go for that, and I'm not so sure that a salary cap is the answer. I do believe you're right. A lot of people talking about the floor. The floor would be something that would serve the game well for a lot of bottom clubs that just don't spend money. Here's the difference on the rub that is going to cause this discussion to be ongoing. The Mets may win a World Series championship. This doesn't guarantee them anything.
Yep.
The Dodgers are loading up to try to win multiple. Until baseball gets dominated like some of these other salary cap sports, which I don't understand why there's not more of an outcry. I guess certain people like to see the same teams over and over again. But I think one thing baseball has proven is it's never in the last 35 to 40 years been dominated by one team.
True. Yeah.
So, you can spend all this kind of money, but 162 games, 26 people on a roster, so many things have to go right for you to get to the championship and win it. And you saw what the Dodgers were able to do, and they were beat up. Now, that gave them some chances. People might argue, well, they had a better chance than the rest because they could spend more. But still, it's not – we haven't had a repeat champion in how long? Like forever.
Yeah.
So that's the one argument against the fact that these contracts, which are 1%ers, meaning there's very few players that get them, I would argue that, baseball would be better served if they found a way to keep some of the great players healthy. If they would spend some resources and realize that this game and these players are so far more talented than we've ever seen, but it doesn't mean anything if they can't stay healthy. And that's why these long contracts are a risk. And we've seen, the Alex Rodriguez argument's not fair because Texas basically offloaded them to the Yankees, and that allowed them to win a championship. Texas was not going to win a championship with A-Rod's contract. You've already seen, though, that the contract for Ohtani disproved that they won it in their first year. He's a different animal. He's a different He's a freak. So you've seen what the Padres tried. You've seen what other teams have tried. It hasn't necessarily brought forth that championship. So time will tell. I like to think that we're not going to see too many more 13 to 15-year contracts, but I said that a few years ago, and I guess it didn't pan out.
Certainly not in Tampa Bay. And speaking of the Rays, in a slightly bigger move, they signed Danny Jansen to a 1-year, $8.5 million deal, which for the Rays is actually a big deal because they were desperately in need of a dependable catcher. And here's a guy who's 29 years old, and he's done it for 7 years in the big leagues. He's hit double-digit homers. He's not a big-time bopper, but for the Rays, I'd say this is a pretty solid move, especially with their veteran pitching staff that they have. Or I don't know if it's veteran, but it's good. It's really good. They have a chance to have a great pitching staff, and I think that can carry them, but they got to go get some hitters because the offense is disgusting. But this is a pretty good move to shore up a lot of things for them. Would you agree?
I do agree. They have a big-time challenge that nobody could foresee. The stadium and playing somewhere else for a couple years or 1 year is definitely not maybe the most attractive free agent place. So they're going to have to be creative and do things like this. I actually think they're going to be and rally around this and play what really should be a sold out stadium, even though it's not, but 13,000 fans.
It'll be sold out every night. It'll be a vibe.
Yeah. So that'll be cool, but it's just definitely going to be a mental challenge for the organization to how to lure players who maybe have some unknowns, and what the future holds for the Rays. But they always seem to find a way. I have the utmost respect for their organization, given whatever criteria they're given by their owner, to find a way to be competitive. And if they, again, it's like a broken record. If they can keep their players healthy, they're going to win. They've ever not shown that they weren't going to win based on the players' health. So that's been an issue that is in their pitching rotation. And if those guys that were so nasty a couple years ago can fully recover, I don't want to play the Rays at any point in the season, no matter where it is, based on their pitching staff.
Well, it's fair to say, though, that their offense, which was second to last only to the White Sox last year, they've got to add some bona fide hitters, at least two, if not three, to have any chance of winning a World Series. And I think when you have a pitching staff that's this cheap and this good, this is a perfect opportunity for an owner to step up at least for 1 year and maybe pay some guys who can actually hit the baseball in the clutch and maybe even in the playoffs. Was that a fair assessment?
It's totally fair, but it's kind of gone against what they've always done. And that's the problem is, how do you lure? And hitting is such a premium because there's not that much of it. It's tough to hit today because run prevention has been at its utmost. They've almost perfected it. So you've got to find the diamonds in the rough. They've always done that. They've rode the hot bats of a couple guys, a Rosarena. They kind of recycle guys who have not had, for one reason or another, good years somewhere else. They come over and they find a way. Maybe it's that dome. Maybe it's part of the magic of they always are going to be in a nice place with no rain. Now that's going to be a challenge.
Yep.
Half the VP is going to get rained out and all those different things. So those are the mental challenges the organization's going to have. It used to be like, to use another example, you would have thought that Colorado would have got every top free agent hitter in the game.
Right.
To go over there, but that didn't work. So there's always different models that look good on paper, and you just have to find ways to utilize the strength of your ball club. And you make an accurate point. They've got to score some runs. They just have to find some offense. And if they go out and get a couple guys that do that, and you know what? My argument would always be put the ball in play and quit trying to worry about so many home runs when you got a great pitching staff, but that's not today's style.
I wanted to ask you sort of a state of the game question because there's a lot of like uncertainty of like where the game is headed and if it's the right path. And I know baseball's trying to come up with things to sort of put more interest in the game, maybe get the younger audience enthused about the idea of Major League Baseball. But I guess that brings me to this whole golden at bat sort of debate that's been going on. Rob Manfred went out there. Everybody lost their mind about it. Now he's sort of saying that he probably doesn't think it's going to happen. But in terms of that specific rule, they've made a lot of changes over the years. Some I think we would argue have been good for the game. But do you feel like implementing a golden at-bat rule, which to me almost seems like you're manufacturing drama in the middle of the game. Is that one step too far, or would you be in favor of that?
I think the biggest thing they're trying to do is throw things out there, and I don't think this was as serious as people have made it. But here's my take on it. I think if you want to do something like that, have it as an incentive to change the philosophical play of pitching. In other words, if you want to have some kind of gained advantage, you could tie it to some pitching incentive that we just don't have right now. You know, that could be if a pitcher completes 6 innings, you get this. There's ways to change the way the game is moving in that direction by either making rule changes or having ideas like that. First of all, there's really, I know it's probably not going to fly, and I get it. I wouldn't be in favor. I'd be in favor of it in the All-Star game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Bring that golden bat in the All-Star game and start seeing some matchups fans always want to see. That's where you can start integrating it, and then maybe people might like it long term. But every rule change that we had up to this point, everyone's kind of okay with it. The only grumbling I still hear about is the extra innings. I personally like it. Keeps players healthy, and it doesn't create long games. But here's what I would do, and I've been saying this for 5 years now. I would change the rules of manufacturing and allowing rosters of pitchers that have 13 on it. Limit how many pitchers are on the staff. You'll start changing the philosophy of asking pitchers to go longer. If you don't make any pitching rule changes, pitching is only going to keep progressing and injuries are only going to keep happening. That's what you have to do. We made rules to impact the game and got action, and we got the game moving. It's all been successful. That's the next one down the pipe for me. That's what I would be concentrating on. I would if you want to tie in some kind of bonus. See, if you don't give an organization a creative goal to do something different, they're not going to do it. If you give that team that has a lot of analytical information and they decide that if my pitcher goes 7 innings, let's just use another idea. Let's just say you tied the DH to your starting pitcher, okay? 5 years ago, people would flip out. They would say you've lost your mind. It's not as bad of an idea today as it was 5 years ago because pitchers just don't pitch.
Right.
And so if you wanted a decided advantage, I'm a big believer. Give the organization time to utilize what that is, see how they can get that competitive advantage over the next club, and I'll promise you what's going to happen. If you tie the DH to your starting pitching, guess what you're going to eliminate? That stupid opener.
Yes.
That Johnny bullpen game. You're going to eliminate that. And if teams still have the option to do it, but guess what they got to do? They're going to have a decided disadvantage with 4 pinch hits at minimum,
right,
with how they're structured. So there's ways that you incentivize clubs to think differently. And by the way, you and I talked about this, so we know it's going to keep pitchers healthier because we're not going to ask them to max effort. And you start developing. See, what baseball's turned into is they got guys on a roster that aren't ready.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And so if you're not ready, you're going to have a lot of this situation and this up and down. So to me, that's what you fix next. That's what you focus on. And I know they're working hard to try to eliminate the injuries and figure out a way to kind of get the game, because nobody's picking up their iPhone. Nobody's looking on social media going, hey, who's pitching tomorrow? Yeah. Nobody's doing that. When you lose that in the game, you've lost a big attraction of why people want to go to certain games. Can you imagine in the NFL, if every NFL team, 3/4 had backups or took out their starters after the first quarter? No one would stay for the games. There's a reason the sports have marketable ability and attraction and fans, and they want to see, I think, pitchers pitch longer.
We had a bullpen game in the World Series, for God's sakes. That's unbelievable when you think about it.
Yep.
Hey, all right, before you go, the Pro Cup this week out of Innisbrook, you are captaining the baseball team. We got Jeremy Roenick's captaining the hockey team. Jerome Bettis has got the football team, and John Barry, the basketball team. This sounds like a whole lot of fun. Thursday, Friday, Saturday will be the playing of it at Innisbrook. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, this is the first of its kind. Pro Cup Series is going to take the 4 major sports, retired great athletes that played in their sport respectively, and we're going to find out who the best sport playing golf is. And it's a Ryder Cup format. We're going to have a round robin on Thursday and Friday, 27 holes each, 12 on a team, and then we have the championship on Saturday, individual play, and then third and fourth. This is well, for all of us who all played on team sports, this is going to be one of the coolest things ever. Glad we're having it in Tampa at Innisbrook. The course and the setup and the resort is fantastic. And there's a lot of pressure on me. I'm telling you, the pressure on me tonight is not as great as the pressure on me this weekend because we are favored, and I want to bring home the cup really badly for the first ever baseball Ryder Cup champion.
Who's on your squad?
So we got Tyler Clippard, we got Derek Lowe, Mark Mulder, Josh Donaldson, Brian McCann, Kevin Millar, Kyle Loesch, Cody Ross, Joe Carter, Vince Coleman, myself. Who am I leaving out? Did I nail that? I think that's everybody.
That's a hell of a squad. I've played with Tyler Clippard multiple times. That dude mashes it.
We've got guys that bomb it. The first couple days was the first day is a 2-man scramble, so we got some guys that can bomb it. The second day is a 2-man best ball. So I've got the strategies, I've got the scripts, I've got some videos, I've got my pregame talks, I've got it all lined up. Now I'm getting on the road to drive down to Tampa, bringing we're bringing the dog because the dog's going to be
the lucky dog.
The dog's going to be the mascot.
That's awesome. Well, Johnny, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. I hope you lose tonight. I can't say that enough. I just got to get one W, and I need to pay the rent. So thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate your time, and I'll see you out there Wednesday and Thursday at the Pro Cup. Appreciate you.
Can't wait. You got it.
Thanks. The great John Smoltz right there. There's a lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff. Outside the fantasy football stuff.
Of course.
Did you enjoy at least a little bit of the fantasy football stuff?
Oh,
you can be honest.
Of course, I did. Because I enjoy to see you have you're really concerned. I love how he said he wants to make you wait to the fourth quarter. He wants you to endure 3 hours of football.
I can't tell you how emotional I'm going to be tonight watching this game. I'm going to be an effing wreck. Like every time if he doesn't get up, Jamar, I'm talking about, I'm just going to be, there it is. I told you it was going to happen. So,
yeah. And I love how you guys mentioned the Pro Cup there. Cause is this the first of its kind? This Pro Cup thing?
Yes.
I wasn't even aware that this was even happening until like last week. And while we started talking about it, I looked at like some of the rosters here. And I mean, it's a who's who.
There's some big names out there
on all these teams. We got some former Buccaneers as well that are represented.
Put some names out there.
For the all NFL team, like Ryan Succop's going to stick out to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Bucs Super Bowl kicker Terrell Buckley, who T-Buck's on this team.
Yeah, he loves golf. Is Rondé playing?
No. Dwight Freeney's a part of that team who just going into the Hall of Fame. Patrick Peterson, who might be a Hall of Famer one day. Tim Brown, former Buccaneer. Is a part of that NFL team. Team hockey, you mentioned it. Jeremy Roenick's going to be the team captain, but Brett Hull, one of the greatest goal scorers in NHL history, is there. Joe Pavelski, Ryan Getzlaff, former Lightning player Brendan Morrow is a part of that team. John mentioned his team for baseball, but for basketball, we got Danny Ainge, Tony Kuch, Ray Allen, Hall of Famer, J.R. Smith, Dan Maherly.
J.R. Smith, wasn't he playing on a college team?
Yeah, J.R. Smith is a really good golfer.
Yeah, he was really playing on a college team.
So looks like it's going to be a really competitive and a fun thing over there at Innisbrook for 3 days.
All those, I think it's going to be baseball or hockey. Baseball or hockey is going to win this. So, and I would, from that roster, I played with Tyler Clippard. And I mean, so a quick Tyler Clippard story, who played for Steinbrenner, was it one of the teams in Pasco? Forgive me, but local kid, of course, pitched with the Yankees for many years, been around. So we're playing in a scramble over at what was it? Across from TPC, whatever, Heritage Isles, I think it's called. So we've got you guys will know this par 5. It's like a double dog leg, and there's a grove of trees between your drive and the green. So the green's about 230 yards away. And where our drive is like almost right up next to the trees. So you got to get the ball up about 70 feet within a very small distance. So like I could probably hit a 9-iron over, but obviously I'm not going to get to the green.
Right.
Clearly. So he pulls out some type of hybrid. I don't know what the hell it was. And he launches this ball. Like you can't see the green. Like it's completely blind shot. I'm kind of showing him on my on my app, like this is the way kind of the area you need to hit it at. So he takes out some type of hybrid. It launches it. It goes over the trees and clears the trees. And I'm like, I think that's on the green.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's on the green. Like I go, how far? I'm like, how far do you hit that club? He goes, about 220. I said, holy shit. So we drive up there. It's freaking 8 feet from the hole, pin high. 8 feet from the hole. I said, I've never seen a shot like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen a shot like that.
Tyler Clipper, by the way, I checked it. He went to Mitchell High School. And Newport Richie. But yeah, the baseball team probably looks like the most fun team to be around.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about Josh Donaldson, who's a very out there personality.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Millar is awesome.
He's awesome.
Cody Ross is another guy who was sort of a fire starter when he played. So that all MLB
Who else is on this squad? Joe Carter?
Joe Carter's on that team. Vince Coleman is on his team.
Vince Coleman, yes. So you got
Brian McCann, Mark Mulder, Eric Gagne, Kyle Loesch, Derek Lowe, and Jose Alvarez.
Nice. I don't know. I'm gonna have to lean towards baseball because first of all, Smoltz, he's like a -2.
What sports are usually the best at playing hockey or playing golf? Then is it actually
baseball and
players?
hockey? Baseball and hockey.
Players? I know hockey players love their
players just bomb it. And pitchers obviously play great. Are really, really good.
I don't know about the NFL guys. That's the one.
NFL will be last. NFL or NBA will be last, I would think. But it's those two. I think it's between hockey and baseball. So going out to the Pro Cup to get tickets. Just Google the Pro Cup. I'm trying to think.
It's the ProRivalsOpen.com.
ProRivalsOpen.com. Okay.
There's a link there to buy tickets, and there's obviously some premium tickets like the Champions Club on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They have 3-day general admission tickets available. And then if you just want to go for one day, it's pretty affordable, I think, $44 for one day.
Oh, yeah.
So tickets still available.
Yeah, and there's they got all kinds of
children under 15 and under also get in free of charge.
Oh, cool. With a paying adult,
and if you're a military member, it looks like you get them for free as well.
Oh, sweet. All right. So just go to that website and check that out and go see Smoltz and tell him, hey, you're on the JP show.
It's just part of the big events that are coming to Tampa Bay here pretty soon, as we found out yesterday too.
What did we announce yesterday?
We found out the Bowls announcement.
Oh, the Bowls
came out yesterday.
Yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and do college football and the Bolts because we got a lot of stuff to get to in college football. There's and we got some Rays notes as well. So lots more to get to. Our big thanks to John Smoltz there. Brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, concierge medicine at its finest. Dr. Lugo's putting together a new concierge medicine program. It's going to be very limited, but you'll want to be part of it. Have his 24/7 phone number for your any and all medical needs. It's a pretty good deal. So we'll give you more details on that as we go through it next week. We should have all the details on that. And that's Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. You can go there and get the details right now. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right, that's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. If you're feeling run down, your workout sucks, or your sexual libido is not what it used to be, check out Bay Area Modern Medical Center. That happened to me a few years ago, and I found out I had the testosterone level of a second-grade girl. That's not good. Our food, environment, and stress can cause your T levels to drop. Bay Area Modern Medical Center can help, and they are different. They offer customized hormone replacement for both men and women. Christopher Lugo and his medical staff can help you restore your energy, your sex drive, and your feelings of well-being. It was a total game changer for me. I have way more energy, lost 30 pounds, and I'm performing better in all areas of my life. Nobody wants to talk about sexual health, but it's key to a balanced life. We offer discreet treatments with real-world results. So if you're suffering from a lack of interest in sex, ED, or lack of sexual stamina, Dr. Lugo and his staff can help. Take your health care to the next level at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Hey, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There's been a lot of talk about lab-grown diamonds. Oh, they're just like the real thing. No, they're not. They're not the real thing. They're lab-grown. They're fake. You want to give your honey a fake diamond? Not a good way to start off the relationship, folks. Take my word for it. Get the real thing, and no place better to shop than the Gold and Diamond Source. And remember, if you shop anywhere else, you don't know if it's real. You don't know what you're buying. The Gold and Diamond Source has been in business for over 40 years. Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors in our community. You know it's real. It's the only place to shop. And if you're planning to purchase for the holidays, don't forget to take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. You can reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. As always, we offer up to 5 years interest-free financing for just $84 a month when you finance $5,000. It's the only place to shop for the holidays. It's the Golden Diamond Source. 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Oh, that was fun talking to John Smoltz. Boy, I could talk to him about baseball for years and years and years. And we thank him for spending a half hour with us. That's pretty awesome. We're brought to you by the great folks at Cafe Paradiso. If you haven't gone over there to get some traditional Italian food from my man Paolotini, what are you doing? It's the holidays. So if you're looking for a place to take the family, it's not going to break your budget. You're going to have a wonderful meal, great wine, tremendous service, handmade sauces and pastas. It's Cafe Paradiso right there on South McDill. Just go to Open Table, and where they're number 3 on the top 10 list in Tampa Bay, and get your reservation at Cafe Paradiso. Tell them JP sent you. All right, you want to do some college football, my friend? First and foremost, let's start local, as we always do. And we got 2 awesome bowl games coming up.
Yeah.
Gasparilla Bowl, which is the 20th. Gators and Tulane. Tulane, who was in the mix for the playoff for most of the year.
Yeah, before they got smoked by Army on Friday night.
They did. But they're still a hell of a football team. And the Florida Gators, who are ascending rapidly, probably as good as any team in the SEC after beating Ole Miss and LSU at home. Yeah, so that's and the good thing about this is, obviously the Gators have a lot of young players who are going to play. Tulane, I don't know as well.
Well, Tulane, so first of all, their head coach, John Summerall, very popular on the coaching market.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he told all the officials at Tulane last night that he's not taking any jobs this cycle. So they keep their head coach. Their quarterback, true freshman quarterback, Darian Mensah, who was really good this year, has already hit the portal. So he's not going to play in that football game for Tulane.
Ah, damn it.
Which sucks. But yeah, it's a big deal because especially you get the local tie. I know, like the Gasparilla Bowl to me is one of those games where it really does matter. Like when UCF and Florida were in there, that place was packed,
unbelievable,
and it was a great atmosphere. Like I feel like that's very dependent on having a local team in there. And Florida is obviously
it'll be like a home game for the Gators, which is great. Yeah. Tulane won't travel; they don't have a huge fan base, but hey, bring the swamp to Tampa Bay. We love it. I mean, we're gonna have the Florida Georgia game here in a couple of years. Right. So, this is going to be a super fun game for an ascending program.
Has a chance to get to 8 wins.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And they've got, obviously DJ Lagway. I don't know if Trey Wilson, I know they said he was out for the year. I don't know if he's going to be healthy enough to come back. He'd love to play in Raymond James in front of his, hometown team, hometown fans. I mean, that would be cool. But that's going to be a great one. Tickets go on sale or already on sale, so get them quickly. And then we got in the ReliQuest Bowl. Wow. talk about blue blood matchup. Alabama and Michigan, who played in the Rose Bowl last year with huge ramifications. And now here they are twice in a year I actually played. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big brands. I mean,
as big a brands
as you can get in college football. That I feel like that place, even though Alabama is pretty pissed off that they're not in the playoff, and I'm sure their fans they're still having a meltdown today, which I have
we'll get to that.
I have no sympathy for you, but we'll get to you. But yeah, Alabama being at Raymond James Stadium for the second time in as many years is a big deal. And then Michigan, we obviously know they have a large alumni base all over the country. They're going to be down here for this. Kind of interesting. Alabama's the first team out of the college football playoff. They go to the ReliaQuest and they have to play, the 6-6 Michigan Wolverines or 7-5, like who
just beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
So their fan base will be jacked up.
Right.
They'll make the trip.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's a great, it's a great game, a great matchup, great for the city, the ReliaQuest Bowl. So congratulations to everybody over there. That's a fantastic win for them. And
I gotta be honest, I didn't know they had that pull in them. To be honest, to get Alabama here.
Yeah, well, Jim McVay's got pull everywhere. I mean, he's as blue blood of a football name as there is in college and pro. So yeah, he's got that kind of pull. And they want to come here. These teams want to come here, and it's clearly one of the best bowl games outside of the playoff, if not the best outside of the playoff now. So
you're not moved by the Miami getting to play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
I made a joke the other day because there was this Miami fan on Twitter who was complaining. It was like, I paid $1,200 for 3 seats at the Charlotte championship game because I thought Miami was going to win it, and then I sold him. I could only get $200 when I sold him, and I said, "Oh," he said, "You think you ripped off? Your team paid $38 million for a roster that made the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
For a Pop-Tart. For
the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
You're going to be enjoying at halftime watching the weird live Pop-Tart thing that they do.
Which was such a letdown last year. Like, you get to eat the mascot, and then it's like you don't even get to eat the mascot. He's like they pulling out Pop-Tarts under his little Pop-Tarts dress.
Somebody else
that was bad.
Somebody else has to buy the rights to that bowl game because we're making a big joke out of it, but that's a really good bowl game. It's one of the best bowl games not associated with the college football playoff.
Right.
But because it's named
the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Because it's named the damn Pop-Tarts Bowl, and it usually goes to the team that just misses out in the playoff. Like, how can I I would just be so sick to my stomach. Like, I got to play for a damn Pop-Tart.
It's weird. It's for Miami especially. It's like all these games. But Miami's got nothing to bitch about, though. I mean, just go beat Syracuse for
everything
God's
was right in
sakes.
front of them.
And the same with Alabama. You go beat Oklahoma and you're in. You're a 24-point favorite. What are you bitching about? I mean, imagine winning games and not getting into the playoff. Like winning all your games and not getting into the playoff. Winning your conference championship and all your games and not getting into the playoff. Imagine that. All you had to do was beat an Oklahoma team where you were 24-point favorite. Imagine. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. And you're still bitching? Shut up. I have absolutely zero sympathy
for anything Alabama related today at all because of what happened last year.
South Carolina deserved to be in there better than you.
Well, no.
At least they finished strong.
Well, no.
At least they finished strong. No. I know they beat them.
They beat them, and head-to-head has to matter. I never saw where the South Carolina stuff came from. I understand they finished strong, but they lost to Ole Miss and Alabama. In my opinion, they all have the same amount of losses. You cannot put South Carolina over Ole Miss and Alabama in good faith. At least I couldn't. So I never saw where that came from.
Well, it does. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, none of it makes any sense. It's just the ESPN suits putting in matchups that they like. I mean,
but listen, what happened yesterday, unfortunately, is a bad thing for college football in the long term. And you want to know why? Because Greg Sankey is sitting there today going, I have the best conference in college football. I have all these great teams that all sort of just beat each other.
Yeah.
And there's 12 teams in this playoff, and we were the advocates to go to this 12-team playoff in the first place, along with the Big Ten.
And we own it, damn it.
And we only got 3 teams?
Are you kidding me?
This is what's going to happen. We're going to have one more year of this playoff, and I guarantee you, by 2026, this is going to be a 14-team system, and the Big Ten and the SEC, who runs this sport, don't get it twisted, are going to find a way to get a loophole put in there to where you're going to get 4 automatic bids for the SEC and the Big Ten. They'll make up 8 of those 14 teams, and we will have no Nothing to do or say besides we're going to have to just sit there and like it.
Yeah.
That's exactly what yesterday, in my opinion, just opened up even more. So it's great that SMU's in. I'm glad they got in. Happy the ACC got 2 teams, but
shocked actually.
It's shocked. But in the long term, this is going to do is create even more push for the SEC and the Big Ten to get their way.
Yeah, which sucks because I'm tired. The SEC didn't deserve it this year. And it's not because, and you can sit there and say we beat up on each other, but when you played outside your conference, you did okay. It wasn't great. And I know they had a better head-to-head record against the ACC, but even in those wins, again, a middling ACC team took the champs to 8 overtimes.
In their place. Which you keep
should have won the game.
Which you keep telling me apparently playing in the SEC on the roads like playing on Death Star or something. Like that's what they tell me.
Do you know who this guy is?
Is that Jim Phillips?
What a moron.
Yeah.
What a beta moron.
Remember last year when everybody was like, why is he not pumping FSU up more?
Yeah, he was nowhere to be found.
I think he would have hurt the candidacy.
Yeah, at this point, nowhere to be found. So this year we're going to get, and not only what you're about to hear, this is moments after Greg Sankey came on the college football show and eviscerated his conference from kicking their ass in basketball in the SEC ACC Challenge, which I think they won like 17?
14 of 16 games.
So Sankey just eviscerates your conference on multiple levels. And this is what this moron has to say. And yes, he says Jordan Travis in this, in case you're wondering. I don't know who prepped this dude, but they should be fired.
I think he was drinking.
There's 2 teams in the 68 Power 4 schools that went undefeated in the conference. The Oregon Ducks and the SMU Mustangs. They're 9-0 with Kevin Jennings as their quarterback. Last year, we suffered through having to hear about Jordan Travis being out and Miami not being the same. Well, it cuts both ways. Since Jordan Travis took over, they're 9-0. They have more Power 4 wins than Texas does.
Okay, so that's good to know that Jordan Travis is now quarterbacking SMU.
Yeah, and Miami, and the same time. And
boy, I knew he was good. He was so good that he made them 11-0, that offensive line. And while he was playing, I think he's on the Jets roster. He also quarterbacked SMU to 9-0.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's your commissioner right there.
Yeah, like that's who you're putting your faith in right there to be a spokesman for.
And you guys are wondering why FSU wants to get out of this beta conference,
and that's why, like, when I hear Greg Sankey speak and pump the SEC as nauseating,
he's just a boss,
as nauseating as it could be to hear.
This putz gets up there. Jordan Travis won 9 in a row for SMU.
Yeah,
no wonder Miami didn't get in.
Yeah,
Miami's like, shut up and go away.
Yeah, it's
give us a shot.
As nauseating as it is to hear Sankey pump the conference up with these ridiculous talking points, like, he does a damn good job. He's a
boss. He's a boss. He's an alpha. And then this,
SMU,
and Jordan Travis in Miami, and when you see him, Jesus Christ!
I'll tell you what happened. Why we happened to these teams.
That's why you're going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, because of your commissioner.
But what happened with these teams that were listed yesterday, I think what we saw happen was the committee decided to protect the integrity of the conference championship game.
This year.
Yeah.
The last year, it didn't mean a rat's ass.
Right.
But this year,
and
it's important.
Whether we agree with that thinking or not, that's what they did. What's funny is, while protecting the conference championship, and that's why the SMU got in there, and all the teams who played on conference championship weekend were not penalized for playing an extra game. And while I agree with that, you know who actually ended up coming out of this the worst than anybody?
Who's that?
Oregon. Oregon goes 13-0, the only undefeated team in the entire nation. They get the number 1 seed. They win the Big Ten championship against Penn State. And their reward is they have to have the toughest map to the college football playoff, because they get the bye week, yes, but they got to play Tennessee and Ohio State, or Ohio State coming right out of it. Whereas Penn State loses the conference championship game. They get SMU in the first round, and then they get to go play Boise, and then they're also on the side of it could be Indiana, Notre Dame. Like, Penn State loses the conference championship game, and they have an easier path to the semifinal than Oregon does. That's the one flaw that I see here.
This 12-team playoff, the rules that they made are stupid.
Yes.
I mean, By the way, who had Arizona State and Boise State getting buys?
Goodness gracious.
Anybody have that in Vegas? What's that parlay worth? The 4 teams that got buys? And nobody had that.
And everybody said the 5 seed was going to be the team that had the best advantage, but nobody could have ever seen a team like Clemson being the 12 seed. That's not going to be easy for Texas to play Clemson.
No, not at all. And speaking of hypocrisy, here's some quotes from the great Kirk Herbstreit. From 2023, the night before the selection, Herbstreit says, FSU only managed to score 16 points with their third-string quarterback. Winning is nice, but it's not the only thing that matters. They just aren't the same team without Jordan Travis. 2024, the night before the selection, also Herbstreit. I'm impressed with Georgia being able to score 16 points with a backup quarterback. They won the game, and that's all that matters. It just shows how gritty they are. So in case you didn't know, the snub was personal and political at the hands of ESPN. There you go. And talking points.
And I thought Kirk had said before this all came out that he wasn't going to give an opinion on anything. He was going to spare himself being public enemy number 1 for many fan bases.
And I know you guys don't want to hear FSU people whine anymore, but we just can't help ourselves.
I'm just saying that I'm not gonna entertain Alabama fans whining.
Oh my God.
And Greg Byrne yesterday going on Twitter. And by the way, he got community noted on Twitter, which was hilarious.
Oh, did he really?
Which was hilarious for this tweet.
This is the Alabama
AD, who was basically saying that going forward, we're going to have to start reevaluating our non-conference schedule, and if it's worth it to schedule tough opponents. And I went back and thought, man, Alabama.
USF like that.
Yeah, Alabama must have had a really tough out-of-conference schedule this year.
Which one? Who'd they play?
Let's see. The 5-win Wisconsin Badgers.
Mm-hmm.
Mercer.
Oh, Mercer?
I don't even know what their
Mercer. Remember when they beat Duke?
Yeah,
in the basketball tournament?
Yeah, years ago. I don't even know what their mascot is. The mighty USF Bulls. We all know Juggernaut, right?
Juggernaut.
And then the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Oh, the Hilltoppers.
The Hilltoppers.
See, that's a tough non-conference. Or is it better when Kirby Smart was yelling at Greg Sankey, who was standing like three yards away from him, for sending Georgia on the road?
Oh, how dare you play games on the road? How dare we have to go on the road?
How many home games did they have?
Probably the same amount
8.
they played on the road.
They had 4 road games, right? I think they had 4 road games. And one of them is a neutral site in Georgia, in Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. You don't even have to play. You get a road game taken off your schedule every year.
Right. And you don't get a home game. I get it, but you're not playing in the swamp.
Let's see. Also, even there, the neutral site to begin the year was in Mercedes-Benz Stadium,
which is not a neutral site.
That's
like their home team.
So let's count one home game. Tennessee Tech's a home game. Wow, crazy
Tennessee Tech.
That non-conference, man. That non-conference at Kentucky, at Alabama, home at Auburn, home against Mississippi State, at Texas, and then you get Florida and Jacksonville, and then you went at Ole Miss. You were at home against Tennessee, at home against UMass, and at home against Georgia Tech. You finished the season with 3 home games.
Struggled with UMass at home
for a quarter.
3 quarters. It was 21-14 in the third quarter. I believe it was.
The final score ended up being 59-21.
I know, but it in the third quarter. So no, shut.
I'm not going to debate you that the SEC is the best conference in college football. I'm not going to.
It's quote the best, but it's not miles better than everybody. A Big 12 to everybody's just saying, well, let's see if the Big 12 team could come in this conference and play that schedule. Well, they did, and you know what Texas did? They got to the championship game. They lost one conference game.
Yeah, but I have my problems with Texas too.
And a Big 12 team, Arizona State, the Pac-12 team won the Big 12.
And a Pac-12 team also won the Big 10.
Yeah, and SMU, an AAC team, went to the ACC championship.
That's crazy. We were a Texas championship win away from all the newcomers winning their new conferences in 1 year.
And what did we always say? Oh, you couldn't play an SEC schedule in Big 12. You would get crushed. What did they do? Oh, an AAC team couldn't come into the ACC and what did SMU do?
Well,
a Pac-12 team no way they could ever compete in a Big 10 schedule. Oh, really? Well, it looks like Oregon did pretty well. So all this talk about this great superiority of all these conferences, it doesn't mean shit. It's especially now. It's year to year. 40% of your roster is going to turn over. Guess what? Michigan's not always going to be Michigan. Florida State's not always going to be Florida State. And Alabama ain't always going to be, quote, Alabama.
Yeah.
I said this at the beginning of the year. Welcome back to reality, Alabama fans. Welcome back to the 3-loss years and maybe 5-loss years, which you're about to encounter in the next 5 years.
And by the way, if you're upset that you only got 3 teams in the playoff, Greg Sankey, blame yourself because you did this. You are the ones who started this conference expansion nonsense.
Right. Yep.
And what you did was you created a terrible schedule imbalance, and you made it to where some teams in certain years, and granted, Texas got off easy. Texas didn't have to play the grueling SEC schedule this year. The best team, their best wins, Texas A&M.
Yes.
Okay? So Texas got off easy this year, but you're going to have years where you're going to have to play the gauntlet of the SEC, and guess what? You're probably going to lose 3 games, and that's what happens. You did this by creating this expansion nonsense, so you wear it.
So in the JP championship, college championship, you have 6 conferences geographically aligned, 8 teams in each division, right? You have an East and a West or whatever the hell you want to call them some fun different divisions. So you have 16 teams in each 6 conference. That's 96 teams. And the rest of the 35 or whatever they are can get relegated up if they like, depending on if they win their tournament. But then you win your division. Okay. You win your division, you go to the championship game. The first round of the 12-team playoff is the conference championship game. So they mean something again, right? And guess what? Guess what's not involved in this? Any type of bullshit committee. You win your division, you're in. You're in the conference championship game. You win your conference championship game. Then we seed you into the top 2. Get the buys. You play off the other 2, then you have the semifinals, then you have the finals.
Yeah,
pretty simple.
The current format, the only thing I could do away with
is get rid of these stupid. Well, it's not even really a real committee.
I would get rid of the automatic. Like if you win the conference championship, you're one of the 4 seeds. I would get rid of that. You could be guaranteed a spot, but I will reseed you.
Reseed you. Absolutely.
Because I do think it is kind of silly. Like I'm not going to just pump up the little guy for nonsense sake. Boise State is not the 3rd best team in the country.
And Arizona State's
not the 4th best team in the country. They can be in the playoff. That's fine. Yeah. But that's not no.
They don't. Do they deserve that kind of advantage? I don't know. But to me, I'm getting rid of that stuff. And the only thing that's subjective will be the seeding at the end of the year. And once you get your conference champions, and two of them get buys. And you could do that a bunch of different ways by strength of schedule of the conference, all different types of stuff. But it should be a metric, and something that is not subjective. Tired of the subjective part. It's a freaking metric, and these are the 2 teams that get the bye. I go back to a freaking computer. I don't care. It's better than this bias stuff
also,
that we've been
like
dealing
everybody
with.
threw a fit about the computers doing the thing. Like how often did the computer get it wrong?
Not often. Not often. They said it was wrong, but then when we played the games, we found out.
I mean, to be honest, I think back in 2000, the computer probably got it wrong, or 2001 rather, when Miami probably should have been in over Florida State.
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit. Maybe. And Florida State got housed by Oklahoma, right, in the national title game.
That's because our offensive coordinator left us, Mark Richt.
Yeah.
And we didn't have Snoop Minnis.
Yeah. Not saying it wasn't a flawed system, too, but
there was always flaws. This system we've had the last few years is just awful.
Yep.
Is awful. It's personal vendettas and political vendettas. Awful. All right. A couple other things. So we got to that. Oh, FSU, by the way, Herb Hand is going to be the offensive line coach coming over with Malzahn from UCF. This is a big pickup for them, right?
Yeah, very experienced. I kind of touched on him last week a little bit. He's been on your James Franklin staffs at Vanderbilt and Penn State. He was at Texas under Tom Herman. He's been with Gus since 2021. So he's officially the offensive line coach, and some of UCF's offensive linemen that are in the portal, mainly center Caden Kittler, who I told you would be a big upgrade over Mo Smith.
Yes.
He actually already has a visit lined up to FSU.
Ooh. Yes, the changes that Mike has made and the selections that he's made, and Tony Smith, the new defensive coordinator, is going to be bringing, we're hearing linemen and linebackers from his top 20 defense in Nebraska.
Yeah, the number 1 player in the portal right now from the On3 ranking is that, I forgot how to pronounce his name. It starts with a U. It's like Umanuelian or something like that. He's in the portal. He's a defensive end. I think he had 7 sacks last year. And it sounds like Florida State is heavily, heavily interested and probably going to be able to land him.
Give him the Patrick Payton money.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, say bye-bye. A couple of other notes. Bolts get a 4-2 win at Vancouver. Braden Point, 4 points. Kuch comes back, gets a power play goal at 3 points. Nice win against a good Vancouver team, and starting to get back to full health. What we've seen so far, I like it. And Byron Point, by the way, is now third in the league after missing 5 games. He's third in the league with 18 goals scored.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy good.
Don't get rid of the Lightning just yet, folks. They're
no, their thing is just consistency, but their high end play is there.
Yeah. All right. What else did we not mention? Scott Frost to UCF. How you like that?
I was not a big fan.
Sounds like the Bulls question on his punter yesterday.
Yeah, I was
pregnant pause.
I had to say this on my UCF podcast when I went pretty in on this and my disapproval of it, that I don't have an emotional attachment to the 2017 team because I was not at UCF at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm looking at it differently. The way I saw it was, okay, he went undefeated that one year. Then he went to Nebraska and he was like the worst head coach in the history of Nebraska, got fired after 4.5 seasons. And he's been out of college football for 2 years. Things have changed a lot since he's been a head coach. And I thought this was just chasing nostalgia and some sort of feeling. But I'm open to seeing if it works out. I think he's going to be cheap because I don't think he had any other options. So,
I think your initial nostalgia take is probably correct.
We'll see.
We talked about the Rays in Omaha, right?
Yeah.
That to me, that's just a story that has been planted in the Wall Street Journal to make you and many people in the media continue the false narrative that the Rays are going to leave the market. They're not going anywhere. Not going anywhere, in my opinion. What else did we have? I talked about the Bolts. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I guess I can't even remember anymore because there was so much that happened this weekend. You might have touched on it on Friday's show because I can't remember when it dropped. The whole thing with the city approving, the bonds. Was that on Thursday or Friday?
I think it was Thursday.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about that.
Okay,
it's just
cool.
To me, it's just when you're calling the bluff of the Rays, and the Rays have already said publicly this is a dead deal, that they're not going to pay for the cost overruns that they agreed to pay for. Why isn't everybody yelling at the commissioners? Well, you guys approved it. Now you're not doing it. But nobody yells at the Rays. They signed a deal and are refusing to pay the cost overruns. Like, ridiculous.
Yep.
I still think it's eventually it's going to land in Tampa, but we'll see where that goes. All right, cool. I think we covered just about everything here.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in first place.
Tampa Bay
in
Bucs
December,
first place.
Once again, we run this division.
Oh, I know. I want to hit the comments really quick. I know we're going a little bit over, but I love my commenters, so we got to get to them. Rick says, rumors not only the Rays going to Omaha, but Stu drove up the Juan Soto price with his aggressive offer. Yes, 2 stories planted in the Wall Street Journal. Unnamed sources, Stu Sternberg, said they're moving to Omaha. And we were in on Juan Soto. Elijah Barrera, hey, good to see you in here. JP, FSU last year was screwed out by the college football playoff by Alabama. This year, Alabama gets screwed out of the playoffs by SMU. What goes around comes around. I guess they had to make it right at some point to make it look somewhat like they're not totally up the SEC's ass. William Madden says, hey, JP, are you happier Bucs in first or Alabama not in the college football playoff? And what will Paul Feinbaum do? Wander the streets in a daze like Red Sox fans did in '84 versus the Mets, better known as the Buckner series? Maybe. I can hope so.
We are going to get the most low IQ rants today on Feinbaum show from the Alabama fans.
Oh, my God.
And their trailer parks.
Michael Sorgel says Rashad White was a beast yesterday. He was.
Best
We got to
player on
get
the
him.
field.
We got to get him more credit, man. He's so versatile. He's so tough.
He's picked up his place since Bucky sort of took a lot of his touches.
Dan says Baker gets way too many passes batted down. He does. It comes with the territory, and I think teams are picking up on that. Really saw the Raiders do this a couple of times where they didn't even rush. They just got in passing lanes, and that's something that obviously Baker's going to have to adjust to. And we'll see how they adjust. And Liam Cohen, move the pocket. It's harder to do it when you're moving the pocket. So football is a game of adjustments. Doesn't mean Baker can't be a good quarterback. Adjust. Kenneth McCleary says, hey, JP, hope you had a good weekend. I did. I know I did because it was a weekend in which the Buccaneers won and the Seminoles did not lose. Oh, you are so true. I said that on Saturday. I'm like, I don't have to watch this crap today.
We were all spared.
Michael wants to know, did you get the punting tryout?
I mean, after what I saw yesterday, I think the tryouts are still ongoing.
They are. John Hill says attended Mike Evans' M1 K3 bowling fundraiser Friday night. Mike was a great host and several rookies at the event, including Tyke Smith. Honored to get both to sign many original logo Bucs helmets. Yeah, we got the greatest guys, man. We got the greatest professional athletes, I think, of any market.
We
just
ain't
in
got
terms,
no divas. We ain't got them.
We don't, man. We don't. And I love our guys. And do you see that thing with Godwin and Evans? Where they brought Mike out to the to the field, and Godwin did this whole thing for him getting the Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination. And I was just thinking, and I tweeted this out. I'm like, are there a better tandem of wide receivers on and off the field than those two guys?
Do we appreciate the fact that you have two all-pro caliber receivers that have been together now for 7 going on 8 years, and you've never heard of friction between them? Anybody talking about, why don't I get the ball more?
They played with Jameis too.
I mean, honestly, that's like, take a lot of pride in that.
Yes.
That we had that.
Yes. It's such a blessing. And what they do in the community, the two of them, off the charts. TJC22 says pressure is a real thing, and part of me think Liam is pressing as a play caller, and Baker at times is playing hero ball. Just knowing the weaknesses is the defense. I totally agree. And that's what it looked like yesterday. And Baker's just got to calm down and start taking checkdowns. Take more checkdowns. He knows that. He called himself the worst offensive player yesterday, and he's not wrong. I don't think that, those interceptions were as bad as the week before, quite frankly. The one on the screen was a hell of a play by 44 or whatever. And the one in the end zone, he got hit as he was throwing.
I'm more concerned sometimes where a lot of those sacks that happen, it looks like it's Baker inflicted sacks.
He was holding the ball.
Yeah.
He was holding the ball. Bucs Basement said, let's keep it 100. This team would lose if Kancey did not take out O'Connell. O'Connell was doing what every quarterback does to the Bulls' future defense. I
thought it was just Sincere McCormick for one drive that was just taking it by the.
Yeah. I don't know.
O'Connell never scared me.
Yeah,
at one point,
and not like he was lighting it up beforehand, right?
No.
Congrats to Mike Evans, Walter Payton Man of the Year honor for the Bucs. He didn't win the whole thing yet, but maybe he will. Bucs Basement says, I get a win is a win, but we have got to stop celebrating mediocrity. Maybe the playoffs making the playoffs at barely 500 is nothing to celebrate. And it just anchors us to an awful head coach for one more year. Fire him already. This is the sentiment I see on Twitter. Obviously, earlier in the year in the bye week, I was like, I'd be okay with Liam taking over because I think eventually Todd will be relieved of his duties. Combined, 7 and 28, 27 and the last 3 teams we played that they went 3-0 against.
They have 7 wins.
7 wins.
The Todd Bowles discussion is difficult because the division.
We love him, number one.
We love him. Division wins are division wins. They did win a playoff game last year, for what it's worth, even though they had a 9-8 record. But I wish it could be as cut and dry of like, do you think Todd Bowles can get you to a Super Bowl and win you a Super Bowl as a head coach? I think the answer to that question is no.
No. I will give him, we give him crap when he mismanages games. Yesterday, they kept the foot on the gas. I can't say anything that I saw yesterday that I didn't like. He went for it on 4th down in a key situation. He let Liam throw the ball down the field when they had a 2-score lead.
And they didn't Brock Bowers just broke the NFL rookie record for tight end yesterday.
He got nothing.
But he only had 3 catches.
Yeah.
He was a non-factor.
And you got multiple backups running around out there. And, you got Christian Izzian playing 6 different positions during the game. I mean, I don't know how those guys do it.
They had 2 picks that both were dropped.
Should have had 3, yeah. Rick said the Falcons will probably sign Sam Darnold next season. Idiots. That would actually be a smart move. Is he only under a 1-year deal in Minnesota?
He is, and he balling yesterday. 5 touchdowns.
5
Perfect
touchdowns.
passer rating.
Yeah. TJC said Mike was yelling at the defense when he was pissed off. And he also says they might be the most uncomplimentary team in the NFL. Yeah, in terms of offense and defense and special teams too.
Yeah, they're never all rolling at one time.
Yeah. Offensive firing, defense in the mud. Defensive firing, the offense in the mud. It seems like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. Michael LaRue says, good morning to you, Michael LaRue. The spending by these big market teams is getting outrageous. MLB needs a salary cap and a salary floor. Yeah, in case you missed it, we had Smoltz on. Loves the idea of a salary floor. Cap is the players' union never going to go for it. TJC said, don't like Liam or Baker. Trust their defense to hold up and they're pressing a bit. Let's also face it, behind the sticks and 3rd and long, pass rush pins their earbacks and contained. Yeah, it feels like on 3rd and long, you're like, Baker, don't do it, don't do it. But I like that pass over the middle to Evans. Like when he let it go, there was a lot of traffic. I was like,
yeah, that had to have been like the timing on that.
Yeah, that was perfect. It was a great throw. But that's Baker. Like he don't give a shit.
He did it against Carolina. He played terrible all game, and then in the 4th quarter, he was just nails.
Yeah.
And the Bucs, to give Bucs credit yesterday, to sum it up, they were great to start the game, and they were great to finish the game.
Yeah,
when it matters.
Christopher Cole wants to see Evans on more crossing and dig routes. I think he can work the field.
They've been putting him in the slot a little bit more to free him up.
I'd like to see that more. Michael LaRue says, I'm glad the Rays got an MLB catcher because they didn't have one last year. That's true. Chu Jetson wonder if we can get Sasaki.
He was just posted today.
Yeah, we're not going to outbid anybody for anything ever, unless we're the lowest bidder.
The only thing
we're not outbidding any. You got 29 other teams. You think we're going to outbid them for anything? No,
unless he
not
wants,
anything worth it.
He wants to take a developmental type sort of deal, which I don't see happening.
Yeah, why would he do that? TJC says every quarterback is going to make 2 or 3 mistakes per game if you throw it 40 times. Let's not act like this is some anomaly. Yeah, that's true.
I thought it was more than 2 or 3 yesterday, to be fair.
Michael LaRue says the Oklahoma rumor is laughable. They're the 7th largest TV market. MLB ain't going there. Exactly. Such a planted story. It's unbelievable. And everybody picks it up and acts like it's real. Baker has 9 batted balls. Ravens and Chiefs have 8 each. This isn't a problem. Oh, thank you, Durfmeister. That's interesting. Thank you for that. All right, but again, adjust. When they're starting to do that, make adjustments. That's what good football teams do, and that's what I think the Bucs will do. All right, great job, Nikki Geddes. Appreciate you. Thanks to John Smoltz. If you missed any of that interview, you can always catch it on the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Wherever you get your podcast, please subscribe to our podcast and our YouTube channel, The JP Peterson Show and Fan Stream Sports, and my new Twitter, the JP Peterson Show. Since my other one was suspended for no reason, please go like that as well. Have a great day, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. Scott Reynolds and TJ Reeves will join us. See you then.